What if eating less isn't actually the answer you need to lose weight? What if constantly cutting calories, skipping meals, and trying to eat as little as possible is actually keeping you stuck? Today, we're going to talk about the nutrition truth you need to understand if you've been dieting for years and still feel like you're fighting your body. We're going to talk about why eating less isn't always the answer. We're going to talk about what happens when you spend too much time in a caloric deficit. We're going to talk about reverse dieting. We're going to talk about intermittent fasting. We're even going to get into some more advanced strategies like carb backloading, calorie cycling, and understanding your TDEE. But here's the most important part. I want you to understand that these are tools. They're not magic. And you do not need to use every strategy to get healthy, because sometimes we make nutrition so complicated that we completely miss the foundation. So if you've been stuck, confused, or constantly starting another diet, grab a notebook, because I want you to leave this episode understanding what your body actually needs and what you can do differently. Welcome to Strength for Generations, the go-to podcast for Christian families who want to build strength, restore energy, and deepen connection with God at the center. I'm Krista Baker, Christian health coach, wife, mom, and co-founder of Baker Family Fitness. I'm here to help you honor God with your health and bring peace back to the process, to simplify what it means to build strength in your body, renew your mind, and care for your spirit, all without losing precious time with your family. So grab your coffee and your ribeye, and let's do this His way. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I want to share something exciting with you. On September 9th, I am hosting a free live training called the Foundations Masterclass. This training is all about helping you understand the foundations that create real, lasting health. We're going to talk about the pieces that most people overlook: how to build strength, how to create sustainable nutrition habits, and how to understand your body instead of constantly fighting against it. I believe many people are searching for answers, but they're truly missing the foundation. They're skipping that step, and that's leading to just a world of confusion. So if you'd like to join us, you can just pop down into the show notes and you'll see the link there so you can save your spot. You can shoot me a message, really any of my platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and I can send you the registration information there. And if you're really ready to start something today and you don't want to wait until September 9th, you can head over to my website, bakerfamilyfitness.com, and I have a free 5-day training called the Move Mountains Method. Put a lot of heart into this one, guys. I'm extremely excited about it. And I'm getting a lot of great feedback right now from people that have gone through the training, and they're just really starting to understand what it is that's going to take for them to truly be healthy. So you're more than welcome to come on over and take advantage of that free training as well. Now, let's get into today's episode. I want to start with something I hear all the time. I barely eat anything and I still can't lose weight. Is that you? Have you been dieting for years? Have you been cutting carbs? Maybe tried eating smaller portions and skipping breakfast. Maybe you've tried fasting or even tracking your calories or only eating salads. Maybe you've tried eating the same 5 foods because someone on Instagram told you they were the best foods for weight loss. And every time you gain a few pounds, you think, I just need to eat less. So you cut another couple hundred calories and you get to the gym and do your cardio. Maybe that works for a little while. The scale moves a bit, but the hunger gets worse. Your energy drops. Your workouts become harder. You start thinking about food all day. Food noise, anyone? And eventually, you can't keep doing it. So you eat more. The weight comes back, and you blame yourself. You think you lack discipline. You think you need to start another new diet. And the cycle continues. And this is what I want to challenge today. Maybe you don't need to keep eating less. Maybe you need to understand why you're eating, how much you're eating, what you're eating, when you're eating, and how all of those pieces fit together. And let me give you another scenario that I think a lot of people listening to this today will recognize. You go to your doctor because you've gained weight, or you're just getting your annual physical and you're getting some blood work done. Maybe you haven't been feeling good. You go there and you're like, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know why I can't lose weight. You know, you're tired, you're frustrated, you've tried the diets, you've tried exercising, and you want help. I think a lot of us, the first place we go is to our doctor, which kind of blows my mind a bit because doctors don't recommend, they'll tell you you need to lose weight, but they never give you a plan on how to do it, or they'll tell you to restrict, right? So here's how the conversation usually goes. You need to lose weight. Okay, how? Eat less. Eat even less. And in some cases, very low calorie approaches might be discussed. And I hear this one all the time. I've had so many people come into my program or come and chat with me about their food consumption, maybe some things that they were told to do or something that they read online. And, a lot of the advice is to eat 1,200 calories. And I'm not against eating 1,200 calories if that's the right amount of calories for you to be in a deficit, but it's just such a blanket number. Like I weigh 135 and still eat about almost 2,000 calories and not gain weight. So if I only ate 1,200, sure, that would make me lose weight for a little bit. But then another thing I keep hearing, and this one kind of irks me a little bit, and I do have some opinions on it, is a lot of doctors' first thing now is, have you considered a medication like Ozempic? And I think this is part of a bigger conversation. There are people who will benefit from medical treatment for obesity. But obesity, like if we haven't really addressed the foundation, and you guys hear me say this all the time, we can't skip the foundation. I know that Ozempic and Wegovy and all of these things, like peptides, have been around for a very long time. The pharmaceutical companies are finally just using them, but I think they're abusing them very easily. Hey, I just found out I'm diabetic, so I'm on Ozempic. I'm like, did you try moving a little bit more and eating a little bit less first? Because now you're on it and it's messing with your stomach and it's messing with the fact that you can't digest your protein very well and you're still not changing your lifestyle. And so I do believe that there's people that might benefit from this treatment, especially for people that have been really struggling for a long time. But not if you don't change your behaviors along the way. And obviously these decisions are between the individual and their healthcare professional. But sometimes healthcare professionals, they give that advice because they don't know the other way and they don't know how to do it, which again boggles my mind. It's actually not as hard as people make it out to be. It's just not sexy. There's nothing fun about it. It's actually kind of boring. I don't mean it's boring in a sense, but a lot of people need to have to make it feel so like it's this big thing, and it's really not that hard to figure out once we learn the basics. Our current Canadian guidelines do recommend the eligible people to take this meds in conjunction with health behavior changes. However, they don't really provide that material that actually helps people truly do this while building all of the other behaviors well. So I'm not shaming medication, but I want to create some education and some awareness because I've recently had a couple people share with me, hey, yeah, I'm diabetic, or, you say like, oh, you could tell that you've lost weight. Yeah, I'm diabetic. My doctor gave me Ozempic, but still drinking, not working out. You just stopped eating so much food. It's calmed the hunger signals. That's what it does, right? And if doctors are saying just eat less, eat even less, or take something else that helps you eat less, then what happens when you actually want to learn how to feed your body? What happens when you want to understand, your macronutrients, your protein, your fat, your carbs? What happens when you want to build muscle? What happens when you want to understand your calorie needs? What happens when you want to show your family what it takes to eat well? Or you go out to a restaurant with your family? What happens when you want to maintain your results? Or when you want to come off of these drugs? Like what happens then? And there's tons of studies coming out right now. Obviously, there's ones that are showing that it's really good, and a lot are showing that it's actually been very damaging in the systems. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about peptides the whole time, but I think that we're missing a lot of steps when we don't start with, let me just see if I can fuel my body properly with the food that the Lord gave me, if I can reduce my temptation and my addiction, and lean on him and get his support while I do this. And the get the body moving and building strength piece is a very, very important piece that a lot of people just skip over. And so we've just gone yet again to a quick fix. Losing weight and learning how to become healthy are not necessarily the same thing, because you can lose weight, but that means you have to also think like, did you maintain any muscle? Did you build any strength? Did you improve your relationship with food? Or did you learn how to feed yourself? Did you build habits that you can actually maintain? Or even learn how to live this way for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Because I don't want you spending your entire life trying to figure out how you can eat as little as possible. That's terrible. It's boxy and it's putting you in this just restrictive mentality. How long can you do that for? At some point, you're going to give up because it's not something that you can do long term. I want you to understand what your body needs. So let's start with something important. If someone is trying to lose body fat, okay, remember we have fat and muscle underneath our skin. Sure, we've got all the other things, our organs, our skeleton, and all that stuff. But I'm talking about what people typically say, I want to lose weight. Most people, what they mean by that, they want to lose fat. If you lost weight, but you lost all of your muscle, you would still feel, one might say, chubby, soft, not proportioned the way that your body, that you might really want to. Okay, so you're just looking at a number on a scale. And, our energy balance actually really matters. We can't pretend calories don't matter. I have a lot of people in the industry that we have different advice, but we have different advice based off of our experience and we see what works for the majority. I have a process that works for, I'd say 90% of the people that I work with. The 10% I'm trying to pivot, but it's oftentimes not following the plan. We're saying that this might be too hard. And sure, it's not easy, especially if you have addiction to food, if you're surrounded by it all the time, if it's in your face all the time, because maybe at work it's there, maybe at home it's there, maybe at your mom's house it's there, maybe it's always been there. And so sure, that makes it way more challenging, but it's still possible. There's a huge difference between creating a reasonable caloric deficit and constantly trying to see how little food you can survive on. So caloric deficit means that you're eating less food than your body really needs right now so that you can lose some weight. That's it. When you lose weight, your energy needs generally change. So you have less body mass to maintain. Your body can also adapt to prolonged energy restriction in ways that affect energy expenditure or your hunger or your movement and adherence. And so that doesn't mean that your metabolism is broken. I have had people come to me and tell me that their metabolism is broken. I'm like, your metabolism is responding to what it's been given, and we need to just work on healing that. It means your body's responding to the changes in energy intake, your body size, your activity, your other factors. And this is why I don't want you thinking, I just need to cut another 200 calories. Instead, I want you to step back and look at the whole picture. And one of the most useful concepts to understand is your TDEE. So that stands for your total daily energy expenditure. Basically, it's the estimate of how much energy your body uses over the course of a day. That includes, resting, energy needs, digestion, exercise, all of the movement you do throughout the day. So how many, we'll call it steps, like that. When I look at your steps, it's just how much did I move in a day is just one way of tracking that data. And it's not a perfect number. It's an estimate and it can change. And your activity is going to change and your training's going to change. So all of these things are changing, but that's where we kind of figure out a little bit of a baseline. Well, this is the amount of energy. Energy is like calories or food coming in. This is as much kind of energy that I'm going to burn in a day based off of, my regular daily activity. So some people are just, you sign up for this app and it tells you to eat 1,200 calories. Okay, cool. But what if for you to lose weight, you realize that in a day you burn like 2,500 calories. So all you need to do is come down to 2,000. But then you go all the way down to 12 and wonder, why doesn't this work? Sure, you'll lose a little bit of weight, but you're going to feel terrible. So you don't need to slash your food as low as possible. I have people that have been doing that for so long. I'm trying to get them to eat more. And it's been a challenge. Trust me. I know that there's a lot of people that feel very, what do we want to call it? Their back gets up and they're like, what do you mean eat more? I'm like, trust me, you're not eating enough food. So your body won't build the muscle that you're trying to build to replace your fatty tissue. And so once you understand that foundation, you can start looking at other tools. Another thing, and this is a little bit more, well, I would call it a bit of an advanced strategy. When people come into my program, let's say their body weight is a little bit more. They want to lose like 50 to 100 pounds. Generally, when I get them to just start consuming whole food, the food that the Lord gave us, when I get them to start working on their protein intake, I get them to stop doing as much cardio as possible and just get them to walk after meals, 10 minutes after meals. And then I get them to start strength training just slowly, and then obviously eat within a deficit. So less calories than their body needs right now to maintain where they currently are. That approach, 99% of the time, if you follow through on it, it works. If it doesn't work, I'm boggled, but sometimes there's some hidden things happening, so I have to reveal those things. But when I work with somebody who's been dieting for a long time, I generally am like, let's see what happens if you actually change the food to, hitting 30-35% of your food to be coming from protein. And then we'll play around with your carbs and your fats and we'll see what happens. But most of the time, I have to reverse diet people that have been chronically dieting. Reverse dieting is a structured approach to gradually increasing your calories over a period of time. It does not mean eat more and automatically lose weight. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to start to see, okay, if I give myself a little bit more food, how does that impact my body, my energy, my strength? It doesn't just magically reset your metabolism. It doesn't mean you can eat unlimited calories and somehow lose body fat. It's the idea that someone who's been dieting for a long time may benefit from gradually increasing their intake while monitoring what happens. So we monitor what happens. We don't just do it and go out on a whim. So what I typically do is, to give you an example, let's say someone's working with me and I get them to just give me a good idea of what they're currently doing. So don't change anything. Just let me see what you're doing right now. Okay, you weigh about 155 pounds. You want to lose 10 pounds. So I'll take a little look and I'm like, okay, well, let's say your calories right now are 1,500 calories and you're not getting enough protein. So you're only getting 80 grams of protein a day. I'd like to see that number go up. So that means we're going to take some of those calories from the food sources that you're typically getting, like maybe it's a higher carb or a higher fat. We're going to replace them with some of this. And this is our strategy. This is how we're going to do it. Well, the longer we take to solidify those numbers, the longer this whole process takes, to be honest with you. And I've watched people do it for a long time now. And I'm like, listen, we need to dial this in now. This is first. We can't skip this step. Then we're going to start consuming more calories. And then I'll go up, 80 to 100 more calories every day, let's say for a week, and then another week. So let's say now we have them at 1,600 calories and I track. I'm like, well, how do you feel? Your weight hasn't changed. You didn't gain any weight. Oh, wait, you feel like you have more energy. You're feeling more satiated. Your cravings are going down. Okay, cool. We've done that for 2 weeks. Let's go up to 17 and see what happens. Okay, great. We didn't gain any weight. You're still feeling good. We're at least maintaining where we are. I know you're not losing your 10 pounds that you want to, but you're not gaining anything and you're eating more food. That goes to show me that we're in a good place. And so if I can get those calories up higher, when we want to cut the food, when we want to cut the calories, we have more to cut from. Otherwise, we have to go down to this ridiculous number that is not maintainable long term. And it gives you that quick hit. Yeah, sure, the scale changed for a little bit, but it's coming right back up. And that's what sends people on a roller coaster ride. And so we have to monitor how the body weight trends, how your energy levels are, your hunger, your training performance, and your recovery are. And then how well you can actually stick to this nutrition. Because what I find 99% of the time is most people are like, oh, wow, I feel so much more energetic and I've started to lose weight. Or at least I haven't gained any. I feel better. I don't feel just feeling terrible and so restricted. So this is a good plan. And it's a very valuable one. I remember when I first did this for myself, I was the typical person that ate around 1,500 calories for so long. But I trained a lot and I couldn't build muscle the way I'd like to. And now I'm starting to really do that now that I've fixed a lot of my hormonal issues and the iron overload that I had, and my periods don't affect me the way that they used to. So I can train pretty consistently without having a week dip every single month, because that's a week of your training that really gets thrown off. So I feel like I'm in a better place personally for that. But I remember reverse dieting for the first time and getting my calories over 2,000. I was like, holy smokes, this feels like so much food. I mean, you can get that amount of calories if you're eating highly processed food. That's super easy to do. But when you're doing it from, the beautiful gifts that the Lord gave us, it is a little bit harder. So we don't have to live in this, how little can I eat? And instead we go, how much can I appropriately eat while maintaining my progress? And that's a very different mindset. And I think that's exactly the education that a lot of people need. But before you start worrying about advanced nutrition strategies, I want you to ask yourself these two questions. Am I getting enough protein? So am I eating 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight? So you weigh 200, you want to be 150. Are you getting anywhere between 125 and 150 grams of protein every single day? If you're not, don't skip that step. Ask yourself this other question. Am I strength training? If you're not, don't skip that step. Because when you start doing those two things, you're 80% of the way. If you are trying to lose body fat while maintaining muscle, those two things matter. We don't want weight loss at any cost. We want better body composition. We want strength and muscle and energy, a body that can carry us through our life. And that's why strength training belongs in this conversation. Don't think about just making the scale smaller. Think about becoming stronger and building a body that can serve you for decades. This is exactly why my message is strength for generations. And I will forever tout that because I believe that to be one of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves, one of the greatest ways we can honor ourselves for the Lord, and another way that we can honor our family and the generations that go up beyond us. So I'm going to touch briefly on intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting basically is a window of when you eat. So you have this time frame where you're eating and then a time frame when you're not. And let's say some people will use a 12-hour overnight break. But what you'll hear mostly is either 14-10 or 16-8. That means that you're not eating for either 14 or 16 hours. And the time frame that you have your food is 10 to 8 hours. So a lot of people think that intermittent fasting can be this magic thing. But here's the thing. It doesn't make calories disappear. What you consume between that 8 to 10 hour window, it matters more than you imagine. So I think fasting can be used as a useful tool for people because it might help you simplify your eating. It might help you, feel better than just the grazing all day. I think grazing all day is really not the greatest thing for our blood sugar. So if we have blood sugar issues, that's something we want to consider. But it might help you just really figure out 2 or 3 big meals where you're still consuming your protein and your total calories, because that still matters. But remember, fasting can also cause people to become very incredibly hungry and obsess over food and skip the protein because you didn't prepare and struggle through your workouts or overeat when your eating window opens. So if that's the case, it's not helping you. And then now all of a sudden, this new diet thing that you tried doesn't work. Well, it's because you skipped a step. You don't need to force yourself into a 16-hour fast because someone on social media told you it's the secret. Sure, there's a lot of studies that show that there's some cellular regeneration and stuff like that, and mitophagy and yada, yada, yada. And some of those things can be used as a tool, but don't skip the step. Don't think that that's the only thing that you have to do. I think it's a really good strategy for people who struggle with late night eating because usually it's a behavior issue. You sit down in front of the TV, you grab a bag of something, and all of a sudden you're eating. But if you're going to sit down in front of the TV and you're not in your eating window, it might stop you from doing that. And so that might be a good addition for you if you're ready for that. You have to think about these tools. They're here to serve you, not the other way around. And I'm going to touch now on a little bit of carb backloading. So I am getting a little bit more advanced here. Carb backloading generally means putting a larger portion of your daily carbohydrate intake later in the day, often around or after training, depending on when you train. So the concept became popular because the idea that carbohydrate timing could be used strategically around training, your overall caloric intake, your protein intake, your activity, your training, your food quality, whether or not your body can metabolize carbs well. If you have a metabolic dysfunction, autoimmune condition, if you have things that gut issues, gut microbiome issues with certain foods and allergies and hormone issues, a lot of that can be healed. I'm not promising healing, but I'm telling you, you give yourself the right things and your body will thank you. So why someone might use this is maybe they train later in the day. Maybe they perform better with more carbs around their workouts. I have some friends and colleagues that just stay really mentally focused and clear when they just eat more of a keto type of meal for their first and second meal, and then they have their carbs later. It just keeps them mentally aware. They just might feel better when they eat that way. I personally feel better when I travel and I stay like that. I try not to have too many carbs because my body just feels better, more alert, more alive. But I've honed in and I've really figured out like, hey, this is the stuff that makes me feel good. So you have to do that for yourself, but don't start there. Start by just controlling the food that you're putting in your mouth, move your body, and you'll be fine, right? And that's where this nutrition stuff becomes very individualized. Your strategies are going to look different for each person, so what might be good for one person might not be good for you. However, actually, someone said that to me at the gym and she said, what's good for one person is not good for the other. And that I believe, but what is standard and a staple across the board is the stuff that we've talked about all the time here on the podcast. Don't skip those steps. Another strategy you might hear about is calorie cycling. So it means your calorie intake isn't exactly the same every day. So for example, someone might eat a little more on harder training days and a little less on rest days. It's a very typical bodybuilding type of thing, or you're doing it because of like maybe your schedule, you're traveling, the way you move. I know on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm at work. I don't move as much. You might pull your calories lower. Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, you're training really hard. You're moving a lot more. You might pull your calories up. It can be useful for some people, but it's not necessary. And you don't need to make it so complicated. But that's why I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm going to do this carb cutting. I'm going to do carb backloading. I'm going to do this cycling. And I'm going to do this whole eat around my period diet cycling. Like, you don't need to do that. Your strategies need to make your life easier, not harder. So don't think about using these strategies at all if you have not dialed in on your basics. None of them matter until we actually understand what's going on with your body. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to stop automatically cutting calories. Like, if you have been over consuming, you've been eating a bag of chips every day, we take out a lot of that stuff in the beginning because those are the things that are probably pulling you over calories. But what I would get you to do is just look at your meals and look at your portions, gather data. Look at your drinks, look at your snacks, your BLTs, so your bites, licks, and taste, your oils, your fats, everything that you're adding, and just track it. Just gather that information, whether you're writing it on a piece of paper, whether you're going into an app. I always talk about Macros First because I like that app a lot. I know he has a free version. He has a good paid version as well. So just start there. And then, like always, we're going to start building our meals around protein. And then we're going to work on strength training. But then look at your consistency. Don't judge your nutrition based on one day. Think about, can I make this fit into my life? That's the most important piece. Like, what we decide, can I make this fit into my life? Just remember, guys, eating less isn't automatically better. Eating less and less isn't a badge of honor. Being hungry all day, it doesn't mean your diet is working better. I even hate the word diet. We don't need to be on a diet. We just need to consume food the way that the Lord gave it to us. I really want you guys to just focus on building habits that you can pass down to your family. So ask yourself, are the choices I'm making today helping me become this 2.0 version of myself? If not, well, where can I just work on today? And let me just be 1% better. You don't have to overhaul overnight. But listen, I'm super excited about the Firm Foundations Masterclass on September 9th. It's completely free. I'm going to be live. We'll get to meet each other. It'll be fun to see each other's faces. We're going to talk about these foundations. I'm going to teach you guys how to create some real lasting health and building strength and nutrition habits. We're going to get into it. You'll have a chance to ask questions if you have any questions that are burning on your heart. There's no obligation to do that. You don't even have to come on screen. I mean, I prefer it, but we're going to get together as a community. You can just send me a message on any of my platforms and I'll send you the information, or just pop down into the show notes and you can save your spot there. Make sure that you invite someone to come with you. I truly believe that the people that we surround ourselves with, like I always look at the top 5 people, are the people helping me do this. Is there maybe one person that I can get in my corner? Maybe that one cousin that's like, let's do this together. And you just need a little bit of support and you need to know where to start. Then join me on that call because we're going to have a really great time. But thank you so much for spending this amount of time with me today. If you've made it all the way to the end, remember, guys, keep building strength for generations. Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.